Well, it's Thursday, and we all know what that means. That means we have more with the G1 Climax. As you know, we have the quarterfinals. But the obvious question is which four will come out of this quarterfinals. So that's going to be a lot interesting to see. And then, of course, we have more with MLW. As you know, they're still down in Tijuana, Mexico, doing some stuff. We're only going to review two of their matches, some local talent from Mexico, and of course, Alex Hammerstone taking on Danny Limelight. And then, of course, we move on with Impact Wrestling. As you know, we get closer and closer to Emergence. Anything could happen here on out. And then finally, we have Ring of Honor. We have some interesting matches definitely going to take place. We're going to be talking about that as well. And then we ended with some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events, promotions are thrown out, who's being booked, what matches are set, any injured wrestlers, or any wrestlers that have been signed with any promotion anywhere in the world. We'll find out. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome everybody. So, if you guys want to hear some awesome reviews of any promotion of pro wrestling, this is the channel for you. So if you like what you like, please subscribe to us. But if you like this episode, please click the like button, and or if you can leave a comment down below, however you choose. So let's get this show started. Our first review is from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, as you know, we're now entering the quarterfinals. I normally will focus on that, but let's focus on certain matches that I feel that were involved before those four matches of the G1 Climax quarterfinals. The one match that got my attention was, in fact, Shota Umino teaming with El Phantasmo and the Guerrillas of Destiny, Tangaloa and Tama Tonga, taking on Hiroyoshi Tenzan and, of course, the members of Strong Style. One thing that was really funny is the moment is Al Phantasmo was giving Desperado a titty twister, and of course, Shota was trying to say, "You're a babyface, you don't do that." And of course, Desperado gave both men a titty twister until both Tama and Tonga decided to give Despi a titty twister. I thought that was really funny to watch. I particularly enjoyed. But the one thing that was crazy is the fact is that um, Shota Umino has locked eyes on Ren Narita. These two will get a match that's like destined to be fighting forever. So that is something we will expect from them in the future. So I have to say it was a pretty good match. It ended with Phantasmo applying the sudden death on Hiroyoshi Tenzan, and just like that, it was over. Now, a very interesting matchup we have, of course, is the United Empire, Hinare, Cobb, and Khan taking on Ishii, Tanahashi, and of course, what's his name? Eddie Kingston. I thought this match was great. Not to mention Kingston. I feel he's becoming a success story down in New Japan, but I have to say it was pretty good. However, you can tell that there was a lot of the heaviness coming in from Kingston. He picked up a good one when he applied the back fist onto I think it was Hinare, yeah. Hinare, just like that, they just won. Now, our matches that we're going to focus right now are from the quarterfinals. Our first match, we have Hikuleo versus Naito. Now, was a bit of a tough challenge for Naito, but it was obvious that somehow he was going to figure out a way to win this match. He was able to apply a Destino onto Hikuleo just to pick up the win. Very sad moment that Hikuleo's out, but good thing for Naito. Our second match features David Finlay and Will Ospreay. Now, these two guys are no strangers to each other. The obvious thing is these two are hungry to go to the top. There can only be one, and of course, Will Ospreay. Well, we can tell if you guys know, Finlay has the War Dogs to ensure that they go things their way and all this other stuff that was break down. But it was, of course, the Stormbreaker by Will Ospreay that picked up the win. But however, I had that distinct feeling that this thing with Finlay is far from over. We can see something like this happen, but let's just keep moving forward on these matches. Our next match, we have Evil versus Sonata. This is a very interesting matchup. These two guys know each other way too well. They actually were, if you guys remember, they were once members of the LIJ. Thought it was very interesting how this was going to go, but I was blown away from it. And of course, House of Torture were going to show up to give them the helping hand. It was no brainer that was going to happen, but in the end, Evil was able to pick up the win without using any more cheats. He applied the everything is evil just like that. It was over right from there. Now our main event is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kazuchika Okada. These guys have known each other many times. I know that Zack Sabre Jr. has always said that Okada has finally reached his limits as the ace and what strong style is. So he tried to defeat him, but that did not work. But it was Okada with the Rainmaker that defeated Zack Sabre Jr. So we'll see what happens on the actual main card. But right now, let's just move forward with MLW Fusion. Okay, MLW Fusion 177. It opened up with a four-way tag match with all local talents from Mexico, but more specifically from Tijuana, Mexico. We have guys like Fantastic, Rayo versus Lucha Solos, consisting of Ultima Maldito and Archangel, Los Macizos, and of course we have Anton Carrillo and Ecstasis. Now, not much about these guys. I mean, I'm solely aware of Los Macizos. You may have seen them a lot on GCW, but I know I have seen Fantastic and Rayo before on a previous MLW, the one they interfered in the wrestler named Dynamic. Now, the reason those type of matches exist is because due to the fact of territorial dispute or the areas are from. Like, for example, if you're from the city of Mexicali, that means you're invading their territory. That's always been the case like that. But nonetheless, it was, of course, those Macizos that picked up the win, and just like that, they continued on. Now, Love Doug continues to try to win over Becca, but Becca has no time for this crowd because the one thing she has in mind is to beat Delmi Exo to get her match and win the featherweight and the WXW World Women's Championship. So that is something that he's going to be doing. The second gear crew, as you know, they're back together. Get ready for some more stuff coming in. Of course, our main event features Danny Limelight versus Alex Hammerstone. I have to say, Alex Hammerstone, I know that he hasn't been himself. I mean, he's taking the loss very likely. I know he'll get back on top. But however, it was the Nightmare Pendulum that picked up the win for him. And I think that's pretty much it we have with MLW. This is more of a very short one. But yes, it was just like that. I think that's it for MLW. So let's move on with Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling. We continue with more of the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Tournament. First round, we have the former champions ABC taking on Rich Swann and Sami Callihan. Now, I believe people might have thought in their righteous mind that this match would definitely go into the favor of ABC. I mean, it seems like the ABC had everything under control until out of nowhere, those lousy meatballs, um, the Weasels themselves, the good hand, Jason Hodge and John Skyler got involved. But they took out Ace Austin. But the obvious thing is, why? I mean, they had no core with them, or maybe because they have unfinished business with them. That they felt like if we couldn't get to the tag titles, then you guys don't deserve them. But it did allow for Sami Callihan to apply the Cactus Driver 97 on um, on Ace, but it just ended just like that. Now, Santino Morello, as you know, was hanging out in the back until he saw, of course, the Coven more consistently, Taylor Wilde and Colin King, who this felt like they deserved to have another opportunity of the Knockouts titles. But however, the Death Dolls also had the same thing, so they didn't know what to say to Santino. However, they tried to regroup. Santino kind of helped them out a little bit. They did accept them to be part of the main card on the main show on this one. But however, Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly showed up. Uh, what's her name? Killer Kelly said that she'll take them all. So basically, we're going to see that soon enough. Now, our next match, we have Bhupinder Gurjar taking on Dirty Dango. Dirty Dango's been on a mission to say that he hates pro wrestling due to people getting more opportunities other than him. He defeated Gurjar Bhupinder thanks to the constant interference of Johnny Bravo. But of course, Jake something hasn't forgotten certain things, so he went after him. But of course, they tried to go behind him. That did not work. But it was, well, Dirty Dango did pick up the win by Jake something. That says it all. But we'll see what happens then. Now, it appears that there's unfinished business between Eric Young and, of course, the Design. So the Design hasn't forgotten what happened, but nonetheless, we will be expecting them some point in the cross paths. Now, during an interview with Swinger, as you know, he is determined to get his world title shot, but however, Kenny King feels that his title is more prestigious than the world title, and of course, Swinger being outdated, not knowing what's going on in the future, saying, "What the hell is internet, daddy?" I'm like, ugh. So basically, he's been given some thought. Now, our next match features Alicia Edwards and Jody Threat. Of course, her husband was going to get involved. He was going to do something to ensure, but luckily, Frankie Kazarian was there to stop him. But it did allow for Jody Threat to pick up a good win onto Alicia Edwards until she applied the what was it? I forgot what it was, but it was very helpful. But in the end, of course, some things had to change on this one. I'll get to that in a bit. Yeah. So anyway, during the post match, now I remember Eddie Edwards tried to take out Eddie Kingston, but accidentally whacked Alicia Edwards. That kind of went messed up, but we'll see what happens. We do see a very much interesting matchup between Kushida and Mike Bailey. You probably say this was going to be a good match. I would say it was very hard hitting, very dynamic, and all that. But I loved it. But it was it was Kushida with the small package file driver did everything for her. Let's move on. We do see a little interview with Crazy Steve, who talks about like certain things that been recently happened. I mean, Black Taurus was going to go on his own. Rosemary is letting Courtney Rush speak. Same thing with Jessica. But Steve feels like he's alone. But they will continue more on what it's really going to happen with Steve. Um, we do see a little session between both Joe Hendry and all this. However, here comes Yuya Uemura, who, of course, Hendry's not happy with the fact that he lost again. However, Yuya Uemura had a better idea. He said the word champion. So basically, he wants the pursuit for the tag titles. So that kind of put Joe Hendry's like not sure if he's on board. But the more he thought about it, the more he's like thinking, why not? So he thought about it clearly, and we'll see how that goes. Now our main event features Moose, Brian Myers, and Bully Ray taking on Black Taurus, Laredo Kid, and Samurai Del Sol. But however, Leo Rush attacked them for no apparent reason. We don't know why, but I wouldn't be surprised. These guys for anything. However, the match was pretty good. But however, when things seemed like they were out, when the referee was out of whack, the lights turned off, PCO shows up, and Bully Ray just ran like a coward. So it became a 2-on-2 scenario, but it didn't change a thing. It was, of course, the what was it? The Russ cutter cut onto onto Laredo to pick up the good win. However, Laredo Kid is still running for his life, but he was able to take care of it. But yes, it's great to see him. He will be in action soon. But I have to say it was great. But Bully Ray in the end was running from what's his name? From but yeah, but I think sorry folks, I'm just asleep. I think that's pretty much it right now for Impact, so let's move on with ROH. Okay, Ring of Honor. It opened up with Slim J taking on Dalton Castle. Now, I could say that this was not one of those matches that could tell a good story, but it could tell a good match as well in the ring. However, you probably would have thought how this was going to proceed in the end. Well, I had a feeling that this one was going to go straight to Dalton Castle since he's well known in Ring of Honor. You know, he was the former ROH World Champion, 6-man tag team champion. So the favor went up to him because I knew he was going to apply the Batarang onto Slim J to pick up the win, just like that. Now, there was a recent interview was made by none other than Tony Nese and Sterling. Once again, wherever they go, they complain about fat, disgusting slobs and all that stuff. So that sort of thing goes out. Now, our next match, we have the Iron Savages, Boulder and Bronson, along with Jackson, taking on Lucky Ali and Brady Pierce. Now, this particular match, I think it was a pretty good one because it kind of built up more and more of the Iron Savages, what they can do in the ring, not to mention being like one of those bodybuilding dudes that you see in the beach all the time. But it was real fun. But it was Bronson who picked up the win when he pinned what's his name? I think it was Lucky Ali, yeah. When he pinned him, when they did that tower, the Iron Tower, whatever they call it, and just like that, it was over. Next up, we have the Infantry, Dean and Sean Dean and Carly Bravo, along with Trish Adora. They take on Ziki Dice and Movie Mike. Yeah, Ziki Dice, if you guys remember, he has been since he lost the whole thing with Impact Wrestling, we should show him. But I figured this match was going to go straight to the Infantry due to the fact that Dice and Mike are not like part of the bigger storylines or the rosters that could tell which is going to be the match that's going to end. But it ended with, of course, Dean picking up I think it was Dean? No, Bravo picking up the win when he pinned Movie Mike, just like that. Then we have a very interesting interview with Layla Hirsch. As you know, Layla Hirsch has been, made her presence known in Ring of Honor. She also said that she wants to make Ring of Honor her home. But she also has one thing in mind, and that is, of course, the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. However, there was the obvious arrival of Maria Kanellis. Now, Maria Kanellis made one fantastic point. Layla Hirsch may be ready, but the obvious thing is she needs to make herself more legit. Now, what does that mean in that perspective? Win more matches, try to gain more attention. That thing about this, if Athena paid attention to Layla Hirsch, she probably would say, there's no way, she doesn't earn it. But if she wins more matches than her, then Athena would probably have no other choice but to pursue the fact that Layla could be a much potential threat for her the women's world title. So that's one of the things. So kind of Layla Hirsch kind of agreed to Maria's advice. Now, our next match, we have Lee Moriarty taking on Andrew Everett. I thought it was a pretty good match. I've seen Andrew Everett many times in the independents. But, of course, it was Lee Moriarty who picked up the win with the Border City stretch, just like that. Next up, we have Tony Nese. And then instead of having a wrestling match, he wanted to do everybody do jumping jacks, squats, whatever the hell he was trying to do. Here comes Pat Buck to give him an ass kicking. But I have to say, Pat Buck, who we all know is one of the producers of AEW, he did an amazing job in this match. He looked more like he wasn't going to give up no matter what until that knee strike came around and put him down once and for all by Tony Nese, and just like that. Now, our next interview, we have the Workhorsemen. Now, the Workhorsemen, as you know, they have been one of the most blue-collar type wrestlers. But however, they are trying to gain momentum as one of the most dominant. But Prince Nana, who feels like these guys are nothing, that they don't know anything, so they decided to give them an opportunity that if they challenge the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Teo Leona, they will get an opportunity for the ROH World Six-Man Tag Team Champions, and they picked partner of their choosing. So they happily agreed. Now, our next match is a proving ground match for the ROH Women's World Title. We have Athena versus Rachel Ellering. I have to say, Athena was put to the test by Rachel Ellering. Look, Rachel's a big girl. You know, she's strong, powerful, and I think that's what makes her different than every other person. But in the end, it was Athena with the, I don't know what they call it now, but with the Eclipse that put away Rachel Ellering. But Rachel, on the other hand, was able to get out of the ring knowing too well that Athena would try to hurt her despite the fact. But in the interview, of course, Athena really noticed that as well. So she said that she's going to find another porcelain to, satisfy what she couldn't get after this match was over. Now, this match, the Workhorsemen versus the Gates of Agony, I have to say this was one of the most amazing matches that I've ever watched. I mean, I like how this was one of those matches where the Gates of Agony were put more to the test, but this was a potential threat to their six-man tag team title reign. And I think that's one of the main reasons this match was pretty good. I have to say, I would have loved to see the Workhorsemen win, but it did not. It was, of course, they opened the gates onto Drake, and it was Bishop Khan who picked up the win. I'm like, I have to say, what a good match on this one. I think it was one of the most interesting ones. Now, our next interview, we have Cole Carter. Now, we all saw what happened last week. Cole Carter saw Maria. That idiot thought that she was into her, but no, she was interested in his wrestling skills, so he needs to pay attention on what he's doing. And besides, her husband will definitely break his neck given the chance. Now, Layla Hirsch has a very strong match against Angelica Risk. I have to say this one also is one of those moments where, of course, probably in no time, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this year that Layla Hirsch would finally make her decision to obtain the ROH Women's World Championship. And I think that's something that I could definitely see. She applied the armbar just like that. Next up, we have Robin Renegade versus Billy Starks. I have to say it was a pretty good match. Billy Starks, even though she had to deal with not only with Robin, but also Charlotte, who is outside. But Billy Starks was able to pull through and apply the Swanton Bomb to put away Robin Renegade. But both Renegade's twins decided to attack her. But out of nowhere, Athena shows up and beats the crap out of the Renegades. Then she was about to attack Billy, but she just stopped. I don't know what was the deal with that, but it was rather interesting how that went down. I was like a bit of surprise, but we'll see what happens then. Now, Our last interview features Josh Woods. Woods has not been himself for the past couple of weeks. He feels that he hasn't been fulfilling his expectations the way he should have been. But he feels like he needs to step away from the varsity athlete's persona and focus more about being that pure wrestler that he is. And I think Sterling kind of understands now that he needs to step away from that and focus on that moving forward. But he said he will set up matches for him next week on that. Now our next match is a ROH World TV title eliminator finals. Who will walk out? Shane Taylor versus Gravity. I have to say, Gravity really impresses. Much like his brother, who's small, he picks up the hugest individual, and I think that was pretty cool. But however, Shane Taylor was able to apply the package pile driver, and just like that, it was completely over. So he'll be facing Samoa Joe, but when will that take place? Only time will tell. So we'll see what happens until then. Let's move on with our last and final thing we're going to do, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So this is what we have so far. Now, if you guys are from the Pasadena area or LA area, the Lucha Brothers like to put out this show called Republic of Lucha every few months. They announced that on their show that takes place on the 30th of October, Konosuke Takeshita will be teaming with the Lucha Brothers to take on Shun Skywalker from Dragon Gate to take on La Rebelión. So basically, we're going to have a trios action match. Now, our 32nd entry for the All-Star Junior Festival USA that takes place on the 19th of August, Bushi has been announced as the next participant. For the Multiverse United 2, for whom the bell tolls, will take place on the 20th. It was announced that Frankie Kazarian versus Kevin Knight versus Chris Sabian versus Bushi versus Rich Swann versus Mao versus El Desperado. They will be part of a scramble match. These are competitors either in the junior heavyweight or X division weight class. For JCW, the Dog Day afternoon takes place on the 20th of August. We're going to have Wasted View teaming up with Bam Sullivan and Gabriel Sky to take on Brogan Finley, Donnie, Hunter Drake, and Rico. Now, an interesting article came around from Number Web, which is a new magazine down in Japan. If you're a big fan of Hanan from Stardom, apparently you may have noticed something interesting. Hanan has explained that she's been studying Kaguchika Okada. Now, you probably ask yourselves, why would she study? Well, some people consider her as the future ace of Stardom once Mayu Iwatani makes the choice to either retire or leave Stardom. She said that she has been learning how to do the running uppercut, a move that, of course, Okada has done, but she has been debuting using that particular move during the start of the 5-star Grand Prix. She tried it first with Micah, so it's great to hear that someone at least is studying something like that. Now, for our Sendai Girls BIGSHOW that takes place on September 2nd in Nagita, here's some of the matches that were announced for that. Let me pull it up. This is what they announced. 2 matches announced for the BIGSHOW. We have Millie McKenzie taking on Manami. Then we have Aja Gong, Ryo Mizunami, and Lena Cross taking on Suri, formerly known as Saray, Sayori Noi, and Chi-Chi. So they basically will be teaming up. Now, I was well aware that Suri and Chi-Chi knew each other. Suri was one of her opponents at the Evolution Showgirls not recently. So it's great that she'll be in Sendai Girls. Now, other matches that were announced, there'll be the tag team titles will be defended. Team 200 kilograms, consistent of Yu and Hashimoto, will defend the titles against Reiwa Ultimate Powers, consistent of Hiroyo Matsumoto and Dash Shikazo from Shikazo. And then, of course, we have Sakura Hirota versus Iger. Now, on a note here, Natsupoi and Kairi are set to appear in the show, but no official announcement exactly what they're going to do afterwards. But we'll see how that rolls out. Now, finally, we have our congratulations section. We want to give congratulations to Marvelous Ace Takumi Iroha, who is now the brand new West Coast Pro Women's Champion, defeating Masha Slamovich recently in the West Coast Cup. So I haven't got the official more information about that, but congratulations. Now, speaking of Marvelous, former Marvelous talent Rin Kadokura announced that she and her husband had the birth of their first child together. Congratulations! I wasn't too sure about what they were saying. There was talks about this when Rin left Marvelous, as you guys probably remember or not. Back in December, Rin announced that she was leaving Marvelous due to the fact that her husband has been transferred to Canada and she was going to go with him. She was recently got married to him prior before this announcement was made. So it was rather curious, but there were rumors circulating that possibly Rin Kadokura was pregnant because she could have wrestled in Canada if she wanted to, but given the chance, because if she was pregnant, that could not have happened. But nonetheless, congratulations, Rin Kadokura. Your mom, and I'm sure that the Marvelous girls will love to see your little bundle of joy. And I think that's pretty much it what we have so far for our news updates. So I think it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have not only we have the AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up, we also have Gambari Yoshi. We do have some interesting matches taking place. We have the Ice Infinity title. Yuri defends that title for the first time against Ami Yunamaze, the little sister of Yunamanaze. So that's going to be interesting. Unagi will be participating in this match against Yoshiko Hasegawa, and I think there's plenty other matches taking place. I can't wait to see it. Let me check something else. I'm not sure. Because I wrote down everything that's coming up, and it's hard to remember. Yeah, so we have the Pro Wrestling Freedoms event. I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, we do have a couple of Stardom shows we definitely got to be reviewing soon enough. Oh yeah, and of course the latest Pro Wrestling No event with more on the N1 victory. So we'll be seeing how that rolls up little by little. So but I can guarantee you that Gambari Yoshi and with NXT Level Up and AEW Rampage are top of the card. I haven't decided if there was anything else that I'm going to put in, but we'll see what happens until then. But for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.